Hello guys, I am Dr. Mukul Mohindra, your orthopedic instructor here at Unacademy. And why I'm here today to discuss with you a little about rickets, osteomalacia, or the vitamin D metabolism disorders. And why I've chosen this topic, well, let me clear that to you. Just recently in the AIMS paper, this session, this question was there, osteomalacia with high urinary phosphate levels. I'm sure you know the answer by now. The answer when this situation was there, familial resistant vitamin D deficiency, that was the answer. But why I have chosen to discuss the question, even though I know that you know the answer, let me even clear that to you. Because if I just change this word urinary to serum, the answer changes. Now the answer becomes renal osteodystrophy. Uh, that is how explosive this question is. So you just make a small change in the lab parameter, the answer changes. So very simple. But if you have to attempt another question of this sort, you have to be absolutely clear with the in-depth knowledge of the subject. So that is the whole idea that I just chose to discuss the whole topic so that any pattern of a question comes from this topic, you should be clear with the answer. So let me just take you through first a little bit of the vitamin D metabolism. Now, this compound 7-dehydrocholesterol, you have it under your skin, and when sunlight falls upon this compound, this compound is basically converted into vitamin D, the raw form, not the active form. And a little bit of vitamin D is added by our diet. Diet may be ergocalciferol, cholecalciferol. Some compounds are there. They're just like the raw form of vitamin D. So that's how vitamin D is basically contributed to our body. Little from the skin via the sunlight and little from the diet. Now this vitamin D goes into the uh, liver, this vitamin D, the raw form. Sorry for that. Yeah, this goes into the liver, and in liver there's an enzyme called 25 hydroxylase that acts on this vitamin D, which is basically the raw form, and it converts it into 25 hydroxy vitamin D. That is what happens in the liver to the vitamin D that has come to us from diet and that has come to us from sunlight. Okay. Now this 25 hydroxy vitamin D further goes into the kidneys, and in the kidney you have an enzyme that is called 1 alpha hydroxylase. Now when this acts on 25 hydroxy vitamin D, you finally get the active form, that is 125 dihydroxy vitamin D. So this is the active form of vitamin D, 125 dihydroxy vitamin D. And when this active form acts in the blood, it raises the calcium levels and it raises the phosphorus levels. तो एक्टिव विटामिन डी कैल्शियम और फॉस्फोरस दोनों के लेवल्स ब्लड में रेज कर देता है. एंड हाउ इट वुड डू सो बाय इंक्रीजिंग द इंटेस्टाइनल एब्जॉर्प्शन ऑफ कैल्शियम एंड फॉस्फोरस एंड बाय डिक्रीजिंग द रीनल एक्सक्रीशन ऑफ कैल्शियम एंड फॉस्फोरस. तो इस तरीके से ये विटामिन डी काम करता है. एंड यस, calcium to the blood also gets added by parathyroid hormone that is secreted from the parathyroid glands in the neck. Basically, parathyroid hormone steps up bone resorption and it further steps up the amount of calcium in the blood. Okay, so blood calcium is basically being regulated by vitamin D and parathyroid hormone in combination. And I'm sure you would like to know why so many steps. मतलब मैंने इतना लंबा मेटाबॉलिज्म क्यों बनाया? Why so many steps? Like why couldn't have been the story finished at the raw form of vitamin D? Why couldn't just the raw form would have just been the active form? Please understand. Body has done so much of headache because body wanted to devise a very important thing, something called a feedback mechanism. A feedback mechanism needs these steps. This parathyroid hormone can also increase the blood calcium, by stepping up the activity of 1 alpha hydroxylase in the kidney. Just understand, there's a lot of calcium in the blood, parathyroid hormone secretion decreases, no calcium comes from the bone, kidneys do not stimulate the production of active form of vitamin D. That is the whole purpose of so many steps. Otherwise, just imagine that had only vitamin D been a single metabolite and the active metabolite, you stand in the sunlight for 2 hours, hypercalcemia, you die. So you had to have a feedback or a regulatory mechanism. So that's why so many steps, but very simple. Raw vitamin D comes from skin, from diet. 25 hydroxylase in the liver converts it into 25 hydroxy vitamin D, and this 25 hydroxy vitamin D, this is the storage form, because storage function is there in the liver only, and this is the degradable form. Extra vitamin D that accumulates in form of vitamin D that can be disposed of by the body, because only liver can catabolize, because it's the metabolic organ in the body. But yes, whatever vitamin D is needed by the body, it is converted into the active form from the storage form, and kidneys do that function by the action of this enzyme 1 alpha hydroxylase. Now, once you're clear with the cycle, you're clear with one thing, that more the vitamin D, more the blood calcium. So just see what happens when there's a vitamin D deficiency. Now, vitamin D has gone deficient from any cause, nutritional deficiency, or you did not take adequate sunlight. So what is basically going to happen? Blood calcium is going to go down. And if blood calcium goes down, bone calcium is going to go down. And if bone calcium goes down, you're going to land up with defective mineralization in the bone. And in children, the mineralization particularly occurs in this area, physis or the growth plate. Because in the growth plate, you have a special layer that is called zone of provisional calcification. So when there's defective mineralization, this zone does not get calcium. Mineralization does not occur in the growth plate. And this is what you land up with. Defective growth. And when there will be defective growth, you will have deformity. So that is the end point of deficient vitamin D. When vitamin D goes deficient, blood calcium goes down, bone calcium goes down, mineralization becomes defective, growth plate becomes defective, defective growth and deformities. That is what happens in a patient who has rickets, a child who has rickets, because rickets is vitamin D manifestation in a small child. You already know that. The deformities, you already know. I think you can just spot them up also in a child very easily. These beaded costochondral junctions is what you call as a rosary. This chest, protruding chest, is what you call as pigeon chest, or what you call as pectus carinatum, same thing. And this sulcus that you can see is what you call as Harrison sulcus, just beneath the rib margin. The diaphragm is indrawn, produces a groove that is called a Harrison sulcus, and they basically occur due to subluxation of rib physis. The growth plate of the ribs, the physis or growth plate of the ribs subluxates because there is defective mineralization. So when the growth plate subluxates, you get these deformities in the chest. That is the basic reason, because the basic problem in vitamin D is defective mineralization in the zone of provisional calcification in the growth plate. Now, a child comes to with these deformities. The diagnosis is a spot diagnosis. You look at the rosary, you look at the pigeon chest, you know the diagnosis. But the problem is this: the same type of clinical picture can actually be produced by a spectrum of vitamin D disorders. So what I'm trying to say, ki, when someone comes with this kind of a clinical picture, the main laborious job of a doctor is to decide which type of vitamin D deficiency is producing these deformities. Okay, because treatment would change with the type change. So that will be my main job right now in this session. I will let you know how to find out which pattern of vitamin D deficiency are you dealing with in the concerned child. Fine. Well, let me first take up vitamin D deficiency rickets. This word deficiency basically here means nutritional deficiency. Okay, मतलब डाइट में vitamin D कम क्या है? Now, when vitamin D will be low in diet, the raw form will be low. बिकॉज डाइट में आया ही नहीं है, तो रॉ फॉर्म डिक्रीज कर जाएगी, बिकॉज डाइट इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्स ऑफ द रॉ विटामिन डी. And if there will be no raw vitamin D, there will be decreased 25 hydroxy vitamin D, and there will be decreased 125 dihydroxy vitamin D as well. So even the active form will go down because there is no raw form to manufacture the active form, isn't it? So when vitamin D goes down, calcium cannot be absorbed from intestine, cannot be reabsorbed from the kidneys. So blood calcium goes down, and of course the blood phosphorus also goes down. Now the blood calcium goes down. This is sensed by parathyroid hormone, and parathyroid hormone starts bone resorption. And when parathyroid hormone destroys bone, bone cells are broken. An enzyme present in the bone cells is released into blood. You know that enzyme, an enzyme that is called alkaline phosphatase. Yes. So levels of alkaline phosphatase go up whenever parathyroid hormone goes up, because parathyroid hormone basically resorbs bone, releasing the calcium, but in the process it injures bone. When bone is injured, the enzyme in the bone, alkaline phosphatase, is released into the bloodstream, and the alkaline phosphatase levels also go up. So what you're going to find in a nutritional deficiency of vitamin D, the first type, vitamin D deficiency rickets, every form of vitamin D will be down. So the blood calcium levels will be down. And blood calcium is down, parathyroid hormone levels increase. PTH increases, it speeds up bone resorption and increases the levels of alkaline phosphatase. So classical findings in a case of nutritional deficiency of rickets: decreased vitamin D, a decreased blood calcium, increased parathyroid hormone, increased alkaline phosphatase. Yes, I must tell you, normally the levels of vitamin D in the blood, we generally measure the 25 hydroxy vitamin D levels, because this is the storage form. 25 hydroxy form हम generally इन्हें measure करते हैं, and once the levels you find to be less than 25 nanogram per ml in the blood, you label it as a vitamin D deficiency. That is the average critical value most of the surgeons depend upon. And yes, we can measure the raw form, we can measure the levels of active form also, 125 dihydroxy vitamin D also. All the tests are available with the lab experts. But on a routine basis, we generally send the 25 hydroxy vitamin D levels for measurement, because that is the storage form that will always be there in the body. Okay, so these are the most static levels. So that is what we measure to comment that vitamin D is low in the body. So low vitamin D, low blood calcium, raised parathyroid hormone, raised alkaline phosphatase. That is the classical picture in case of vitamin D deficiency rickets. So what happens in vitamin D dependent rickets? Dependent means डिपेंडेंट ऑन विटामिन डी. तो जो चीज विटामिन डी पे डिपेंडेंट है, उसमें विटामिन डी कम नहीं होगा, ज्यादा ही होगा. दैट इज द सिंपल मैसेज. हाउ जस्ट लेट मी एक्सप्लेन टू यू. The basic problem in vitamin D dependent rickets is in this enzyme 1 alpha hydroxylase. This enzyme is defective, and you know this enzyme, you have it in the kidneys. You already know that vitamin D raw form is there in the diet, goes into our body. In liver, it is converted into 25 hydroxy form, and then kidneys change into the active form. But in the kidneys, when this enzyme is defective, you have enough of 25 hydroxy vitamin D in your body. These levels are not low. But when this kidneys enzyme is defective, these levels go down. The active form decreases. This active form, these levels will go down. So active form levels go down. Calcium cannot be reabsorbed from the blood. Blood calcium levels go down. Parathyroid hormone levels go up. Bone is resorbed to increase the calcium. Defective mineralization, bone resorption rickets. So clinical scenario becomes the same, but in a different manner, because here it is not the vitamin D raw form that is decreased. That is enough, because there is no nutritional deficiency. Here the problem is in the pathway at the level of the kidneys. So 25 hydroxy form accumulates in a large number because you have enough vitamin D in the diet, but this is not getting converted into the active form. That is the main problem. So the net take home message from this slide is this. So what you will find in vitamin D dependent rickets type 1, the first subtype of vitamin D. The first subtype means 25 hydroxy vitamin D levels. They are raised. The moment you will find 25 hydroxy vitamin D levels, you know this is vitamin D dependent rickets type 1. तो टाइप 1 में फर्स्ट सब टाइप के लेवल्स इंक्रीज कर जाते हैं. दैट इज द मैसेज टू रिमेंबर इट इज फाइनल. नाउ व्हेन यू गो टू विटामिन डी डिपेंडेंट रिकेट्स टाइप 2, the problem here is not in any enzyme. The problem here is in the end organs जहां पे विटामिन डी ने एक्ट करना है. End organs insensitivity. Receptors on the end organs are defective. It is basically a receptor defect on the intestines. So what happens? That raw vitamin D given to us by the diet in the liver gets converted to 25 hydroxy vitamin D. So these levels are good enough. And then in the kidneys, renal system, you have that 1 alpha hydroxylate that manufactures enough of 125 hydroxy vitamin D also. The active form is also produced. But this step is defective. This active form cannot act on the intestines to increase the blood calcium. So at the end, blood calcium again goes down. Calcium goes down, parathyroid hormone levels increase. Parathyroid hormone produces bone resorption. Alkaline phosphatase goes up. The same clinical scenario. So again, the same clinical scenario is the end result, but in a different method, because here the problem is the end organs. The intestinal receptors are defective. The kidney receptors are defective. Calcium cannot be reabsorbed from the intestine, from the kidneys, and eventually you will end up with rickets. But yes, one thing is again clear. The take home message. इन विटामिन डी डिपेंडेंट रिकेट्स, जैसे मैंने बोला डिपेंडेंट में विटामिन डी के लेवल्स हमेशा हाई रहेंगे. इन टाइप 2 both the subtypes they increase. Like in type 1, as I just told you, first subtype 25 hydroxy vitamin D increases. In this type 2, both subtypes their levels increase. So that is what you can remember on a spinal basis. In vitamin D dependent rickets type 2, both vitamin D subtypes their levels increase. तो दोनों सबटाइप्स के लेवल इंक्रीज कर जाते हैं. सो व्हाट आई मीन टू से दैट यू कैन टेक 25 हाइड्रोक्सी विटामिन डी लेवल्स, ये मेजर कर सकते हो, प्लस यू कैन मेजर 125 डाई हाइड्रोक्सी विटामिन डी लेवल्स. बोथ दीज लेवल्स विल बी increased. So just a quick recap. Vitamin D deficiency rickets. Every subtype of vitamin D deficient. Vitamin D dependent rickets type 1. The first type subtype levels increase. Vitamin D dependent rickets type 2. Both the subtypes levels increase. So there is one pointer identifier for the three types. Now let me come to the most interesting type, vitamin D resistant rickets. Now the message here, the word resistant means you should become resistant to vitamin D. So first think about it. No problem in vitamin D metabolism. There is nothing wrong in vitamin D metabolism. Rather, look, renal tubular rickets. That is the real name. So problem is not in vitamin D. The problem is in the renal tubules. So that is why the real name of this variety, renal tubular rickets. So what is the problem? Let me explain to you. The defect here lies in the renal tubules. And because renal tubules are defective, uh, phosphorus reabsorption, this is defective. Because you have a protein called phosphatonin that destroys the renal brush border. I hope you know brush border helps in reabsorption. So when that renal brush border receptors are destroyed, it cannot reabsorb phosphorus. You land up with increased urinary phosphorus levels. That is the basic problem. So renal tubules are defective because of that protein phosphatidylcholine that wraps up the renal brush borders. So phosphorus reabsorption becomes defective. So you have increased urinary excretion of phosphorus, and the urine pH also goes down because phosphorus is going into the urine. So urine pH will of course decrease because phosphorus is acidic in nature. But yes, calcium levels are normal. If you talk in the serum phosphorus levels are decreased. Calcium normal रहता है. No problem with the calcium levels because there is no problem in vitamin D metabolism. It is only the phosphorus that goes down. But please understand that in order to have proper mineralization, you actually require a calcium phosphorus ratio to be normal. ये ratio normal होनी चाहिए. The problem here is that this ratio becomes abnormal, and since this ratio becomes abnormal, you tend to end up with defective mineralization, and that is why the manifestations of rickets, because the calcium phosphorus ratio has been altered in this type. So that is the whole story of renal tubular rickets. But I hope you got my message that if you want to identify this type, this is the net thing that you need to remember. There will be phosphorus excretion more in the urine. The pH of urine will be low. So you can just measure the urine pH, or you can just measure the urine phosphate levels. You will be catching this type of rickets. And yes, one last type that also correlates with rickets is something called renal osteodystrophy. Again, it is nothing related to vitamin D metabolism in real sense. This is just another name for renal failure. The problem here is renal failure, because when renal failure is there, that enzyme 1 alpha hydroxylase cannot function, and you don't have active vitamin D in the body because kidneys are under failure. And when active vitamin D is not there, calcium levels decrease. Calcium levels decrease, you will have defective mineralization. Same thing, parathyroid goes up, EVO, and uh, calcium, basically defective mineralization will be there. So PTH levels will go up, parathyroid hormone levels. So this PTH would try to increase calcium by leading to bone resorption. So in the end, you get hypercalcemia because of hyperparathyroidism. But yes, PTH is causing bone resorption, so bone is being lysed, so rickets, defective mineralization. And yes, here phosphate reabsorption, this also suffers. I think you already know that when there is kidney failure, phosphate does not get, sorry, not phosphate reabsorption, phosphate excretion suffers. Because when there is renal failure, kidneys are not excreting anything. Fluid is accumulating in the body. Electrolytes are accumulating in the body. So phosphate also accumulates. So you also have increased phosphate in the serum. And that is what my net message to you is, that when serum phosphate is increased, just think of renal osteodystrophy. Please, here in renal tubular rickets, the phosphate levels were low because all phosphate was going into the urine. सारा urine में निकल रहा था because the brush border was defective. Here, you are getting nothing in the urine. The phosphate cannot be excreted because kidneys are under failure. So phosphate accumulates in the body. So that is what my simple message to you is. Vitamin D deficiency. All subtypes of vitamin D reduce. Vitamin D dependency, vitamin D will be high. In type 1, 25 hydroxy, first subtype of vitamin D is high. In type 2, 25 hydroxy vitamin D, 125 hydroxy vitamin D, both are high. In vitamin D resistant rickets, don't even think of vitamin D because there is no problem in vitamin D metabolism. Here, think of urine phosphorus or decreased pH in the urine because phosphorus is going into the urine. And in renal osteodystrophy, phosphorus is accumulating in the serum blood, because phosphorus cannot get it treated because renal failure is there. So here you have increased serum phosphorus. So that is the simple way. All subtypes of vitamin D deficiency ricket. First subtype increase vitamin D dependency type 1. Both subtypes increase vitamin D dependency type 2. Urine pH goes down, urine phosphorus increases, renal tubular rickets, resistant type of rickets, and serum phosphorus increases renal failure, renal osteodystrophy. So that's how I approach actually a case of rickets. I give vitamin D supplementation to the patient who comes to me with those deformities, because 99% of the times it is vitamin D deficiency in our country. And with this, I look for healing by by clicking an X-ray. X-ray is the best way to see whether rickets is healing or not, because you start finding calcification in the zone of calcification. Zone of provisional calcification gets the calcium, and this white line starts appearing. You know what you call that white line? White line of Frankel. ये आनी शुरू हो जाती है. But what happens in some cases, despite giving vitamin D a few doses, you don't see healing. Now, when you don't see healing, just don't worry. Get the levels of 25 hydroxy vitamin D, get the levels of 125 hydroxy vitamin D, get the levels of urine phosphorus, and get the level of serum phosphorus. Just get these 4 tests. You can see you will classify any type of rickets. First subtype up, dependency type 1, both subtypes levels up, dependency type 2, urine phosphorus up, resistant type of rickets, serum phosphorus up, renal osteodystrophy. So these 4 types will let you know what else you are dealing with except from the nutritional deficiency type of rickets. And then you can go accordingly, because here vitamin D is a problem. You can give the active form of vitamin D in these 3 types. Here the problem is not vitamin D. So here you will have to give phosphorus supplementation, because phosphorus is going into the blood, into the urine. You don't have phosphorus in the body, and here urine pH is low, so you have to give alkalinating agents like bicarbonates. And in renal osteodystrophy, you have to treat renal failure. So that is how the treatment changes once you decide which subtype you are dealing with. So I hope you're clear how to segregate different type of rickets. I hope you're clear with that. And yes, I must tell you that apart from the chest and skull deformities in rickets, deformities at knees are very common, and they are particularly common in walking children. After the age of 2-3 years, you find these deformities. You can have knock knees, something that you call as genu varum. You can, genu valgum. These are knock knees, and you can also have bow legs, something that you call as genu varum. So both deformities are possible in rickets. Overall, more commonly, you find genu varum in rickets. And yes, I must also tell you how to treat a patient who has genu varum plus rickets. I tell you the detailed version also, the steps in this particular patient. First, you go with vitamin D supplementation, because your first job is to treat rickets. Now, once you're given vitamin D, enough for vitamin D, you look for healing and check whether rickets has healed or not. And for healing, you look at X-ray. You look for that white line of Frankel. Now a stage comes where you find a growth plate healed on X-ray. That white line of Frankel has come. Half of the cases, as growth plate heals, deformity also disappears. This happens in like almost 50% of cases. But in another 50% of cases, although growth plate heals, the deformity persists. Genu varum रह जाता है. Now this patient basically is the patient who needs a corrective osteotomy. So since the deformity is there, bone is deformed, teda, you have to cut the bone and straighten the bone. That is the simple message. But let me tell you a prerequisite before an osteotomy. Normal serum alkaline phosphatase levels. Please understand. Whenever alkaline phosphatase levels are high in the body, like in rickets, alkaline phosphatase is raised. It straight away means that some destruction is occurring in the bone. Bone has this protein called alkaline phosphatase. When it is being resorbed from any cause, this protein will be released into the blood. So that means bone is under a destructive phase. You cut this bone before the destructive phase is over, there will be no healing. So that is the simple message, that in rickets, half of the deformities can be managed by vitamin D supplementation only. But a deformity that does not disappear despite vitamin D supplementation, you can plan a surgery, corrective osteotomy, but only after alkaline phosphatase levels are normal. AIMS 2015, this question was there. And the first question I showed you, that was there in the AIMS. So very important topic even from the AIMS perspective, need perspective. I hope you are clear with the message. And this is sequential healing in case of rickets. This is the classical X-ray, a case of rickets, where you find in the X-ray cupping, fraying, widening. These are the three things you search for in a case of rickets. So I hope you can see fraying here, broadening here. Okay, and then with the time the growth plate becomes cup shaped. These three things tell you that this is an X-ray of rickets, and I've shown you the sequential X-rays as rickets is healing. You can see the final X-ray. Growth plate has become smooth, no fraying is there. That broadening has decreased, and just see how smooth the growth plate is here and how fraying is evidently visible over here. And I hope you can see this whitish line, white line of Frankel also coming as growth plate is healing. So that is how you find whether rickets is healing or not. And this is the question I just discussed with you, the AIMS 2015 paper. This question that was there. Patient has rickets, patient has genu varum. Vitamin D supplementation was given. Growth plate healed. Deformity failed to disappear. So that means the child needs now an osteotomy. But as I've told you, before you plan an osteotomy, destructive phase has to be over. Alkaline phosphatase levels, they have to be normal. Don't refer a patient to a surgeon just by seeing that vitamin D is normal, because vitamin D changes reverse early just with supplementation. Even calcium levels become normal. It is alkaline phosphatase that is the last to come down. Till alkaline phosphatase levels are high, destruction is going on. Please be careful. Please be careful. So thank you. That's all from my side. I hope you're clear with basic concepts. You want to attend more free live classes? Please go on to this platform, Unacademy, a wonderful platform for those people who are aiming for NEET PG. In case you want to connect with me, you can contact me on the Telegram. I'm there on Telegram. That's my phone number. If you want to connect to me on Facebook, even that is possible. This is the name by which you will find my profile. Okay. Otherwise, generally I am here for on Unacademy for the special classes on Tuesdays around 10 p.m. That is my ritual time. And if you like the class, please do not forget to click the bell icon on Unacademy. And if you want to stay in touch with me, just take a subscription. Look at the prices, extremely economical. You would just love it. But even if you take it for 6 months, the price is damn economical. And then if you use this code Dr. Mukul-YT while you're applying for a subscription, you further add on a 10% discount. And within the same subscription, you can watch n number of lectures, any teacher, any topic. That's all from my side. Thank you. I hope you liked the lecture. See you again. Bye bye.